welcome back to the channel. We're in northern Maine on the Cutler Coast Trail. It's late September right now, but man, it feels like the middle of October. The leaves are already changing and it looks beautiful. It's about 11:30 in the morning right now, and we've already gone about a half mile, but we're on our way to the Long Point campsite, which is about another 4 miles. So we started up here at the parking lot and we're taking the inland trail all the way down to this cutoff point. We'll cut over to the coast and then down a little ways to the Long Point campsites, and then in the morning hike all the way up the coast and cut back over to the car. All in all, it'll be roughly 7 or 8 miles. Man, this weekend it was so hard to actually get out of the apartment and decide to go camping, but I am so glad we did. Like, the leaves are starting to turn just a little bit golden and the temperature is perfect. It's like exactly 60 degrees. Cloudy out, but that's not too bad. It kind of fits the vibe. Man, this is just classic New England forest right here. And we had a 3.5 hour drive in order to get here, so I am just feeling super good to be out of the car and moving. Yeah, I just feel like I've been sedentary for way too long. Been playing an egregious amount of Starfield, so it's nice to actually be out and moving again. The trail wound its way through gardens of thick moss and across tea-colored streams darkened by tannins in the soil. So something we've noticed whenever we're out hiking, doesn't matter where it is, we can always see similarities to wherever we are, to places that we've already been before. Like with all the moss blanketing the ground, it has a real like Washington, Oregon kind of vibe. But then there's just like a little hint of like Colorado. Like it's really reminiscent of Conundrum Hot Springs whenever we were there last fall. With that said, all the places we've been, this one included, are unique in their own way, and it's kind of hard to pinpoint it, but there's just something just so uniquely New England about this trail. The trail continued lazily through the dense forest, and we enjoyed the easy hiking. Man, fall is such a fickle season. Like, I have so many contradictory emotions. On the one hand, this is like the best time for camping back in Indiana, but I'm not there, so that's kind of sad. And it's also just kind of a time that makes you, want to stay in with like friends and family and just have game nights or whatever. But then on the other hand, the cool weather just sort of refreshes you. Like, the heat of summer is gone, and this is like your last chance to be active before hibernation. The cool weather and lazy atmosphere made us feel like fall was just around the corner, but the vibrant forest floor reminded us that summer had not yet entirely passed. Soon, we came to a sign and a junction in the trail. So if we kept going straight, we would just make a bigger loop. And
straight? What do you mean straight?
Oh, okay, let me redo that. I meant right. Okay, so if we kept going to the right, then we would just make a bigger loop. But I think we're gonna go ahead and take a left to the Black Point cutoff to Coastal Trail. And then we'll see some water. It wasn't long before the trees began to open up, and we were met with our first proper view of the forest around us. We kept going, and Savannah spotted a sight that instantly filled us with excitement. Got our first glimpse of the ocean. We can just make it out through those trees there. We descended back into the trees, knowing that the coast was just ahead, and after just a short while, we had finally made it to the Gulf of Maine. Man, these rocks are so round. This one's literally egg-shaped. This area of Coastline is the ancestral home to the Passamaquoddy tribe, whose name translates to the people of the pollock spearing place, a name that exemplifies the long and deep connection indigenous cultures of this area have had with the sea. And this mantra continues even today, as life on the Maine coast is in some way or another fundamentally tied to the ocean. All right, the trail continues up here. Got a couple more miles until camp. So right above that beach is Black Point campsite. And yeah, pretty incredible spot to pitch your tent for some views of the ocean. Yeah, this is such a nice spot to put your tent. Look at that. Laying just off trail was an object iconic to Maine, an old lobster trap. Seeing that lobster trap makes me think of like some things that are considered normal to you or so foreign to somebody else. Like some New Englanders watching this is probably like, yeah dude, it's just a lobster trap. But like being from the Midwest, like, you know, I've only ever seen a handful of those, so it's kind of a novelty to me. That is, after all, one of the many joys of traveling, finding excitement in the otherwise mundane, and learning about other people's way of life is what connects us together and helps us grow. So just to orient ourselves for a second, if you continue north for a couple dozen more miles, you'll hit the Canadian border. And then this stretch of land right here that we see to our northeast, that's Grand Maine Island, which is part of New Brunswick, Canada. And then on the other side of that, further east, is Nova Scotia. And then kind of strange to think about, but if I look to the southeast and draw a straight line, the next major landmass that I'll hit is the tip of West Africa. So kind of weird to think about that. Oh man, if you were hiking in a groove and weren't paying attention, you would miss this awesome beach right here. Look at that. It's turning into a pretty interesting trail. No more of a nice casual walk through the woods. That bit's over. It's getting pretty sloshy now, and yeah, pretty muddy. All right, I hadn't seen Savannah in a while, so I stopped, and fortunately we both have cell service, so I called her, and it turns out she accidentally took the wrong way. And we know where each other are now, so I've turned around and started heading back down trail in order to find her, and we should be able to meet each other here pretty soon. But let this be an exercise in caution. Like, even though you're in a place that feels like paradise, I mean, you're still in the wilderness, and if you're not thinking clearly, you get separated from your partner. I mean, that could be a bad time. Well, look who it is. I don't have to use my emergency GPS after all. Hey Sean, if you're watching this is why I carry one. Reunited again, we continued on. It was still early in the day, but we were tired from hiking and the long car ride early this morning. Fortunately, the campsite was getting closer and closer. And after crossing a small wooden bridge, we had made it to our destination. Each campsite holds 6 people, and there was already a group occupying the tent site closest to the water, so we chose the site furthest back in the woods. Despite not having a view, we enjoyed the privacy of this site and took a moment to rest from a long day. After our break, we decided to walk down to the nearby beach. Yeah, I think I like this beach better than the last one. This is really cool. It's so wide too. Yeah, that's really nice. We took time to enjoy the beach and to appreciate every one of its details. Like these mats of rockweed, as their name suggests, rockweed is commonly found clinging to the rocky coast. Among the rough strands of rockweed is a diverse ecosystem of crustaceans and mollusks that help support life both above and below the water's surface. Juvenile pollock and herring find refuge in the thick littoral forest. Mammals such as minks and raccoons dance across the rocks in search for crabs and mussels. Many birds such as ducks, herons, and gulls also forage amongst the rock. This narrow band of algae is at first glance very mundane, and yet it is a critical intersection between land and sea. Walking along the beach, I found myself thinking about the nearly infinite amount of processes that occurred to make this narrow band of life. The rocky skeleton it clings to is made of a dark igneous rock called diabase. Like all igneous rocks, it was once a magma that roiled just below the surface of the Earth over 400 million years ago. That's about 4 times older than any T-Rex. Now, they lie as testament to the great volcanoes that have long since washed into the sea. The igneous rocks of Maine's coast are made of very hard minerals, and had the geologic history been different, the cliffs that provide the foundation for the rockweed may not have been here. Moments like this, surrounded by water and wilderness, can make you feel small. But maybe we can learn a lesson from the rockweed. Small and insignificant as we may be, we are connected. Connected to the earth, to its past, and its future. And most importantly, we are connected to each other. That is the most important lesson you can learn from our natural world. It's right there. You just have to look and listen. Nightfall was coming soon, so we headed back to set up camp. And after the tent and sleeping gear was set up, it was time to start dinner. Alright, so for dinner tonight, it's just going to be some simple ramen noodles, but we're going to spice it up I've got red pepper flakes, brown sugar, peanut butter, seaweed, and some lime. So hoping it turns out to be like a little, kind of like a pad thai sort of thing. I started by boiling some water for the noodles. I set the flavor packet that came with the ramen aside, since I would be adding my own ingredients. After the noodles were done, the next step was to add some scoops of peanut butter, red pepper flakes, and brown sugar. I would be using the extra brown sugar later for dessert. I heated up some more water in order to properly mix everything, and also put the seaweed in the water so that it became soft. I also used my multi-tool to cut up some lime. Tools and knives are often hotly debated amongst backpackers. I've found that a multi-tool is all I need for my particular style of camping, though you may find you need more or less depending on your needs. As long as you have the proper gear to be safe, and you follow leave no trace practices, then I encourage you to experiment to find what suits you. I think it looks halfway decent for camp food, but let's give it a taste. What do you think?
Pretty good.
Does it need anything?
I would put more red pepper flakes in there, but I just like it a little spicier.
Yeah, nice, easy camp meal. I mean, it's just ramen with a few extras, but it's good. Beats regular old ramen. After the ramen, I sliced up some apples to make a classic fall treat. Alright, the apples are done, so let's see how they turned out. I think I added a little too much water, but they look pretty good. It's like really hot.
I know.
Mm-hmm.
Well, is it hot? Because
It's hot,
I'm more sensitive to that.
but you can be fine.
I could be fine.
you could be fine. It's good. I've never made that while camping before, but I think that's going to be added to the list. Alright, I think we're going to enjoy these and just kind of relax the rest of the night, so see you in the morning. Alright, it's the next morning now. It's about 9:30. Just had a simple granola bar breakfast and now we're headed back up trail. Got about a mile until the first beach that we went to, and then after that about 2 miles of coastline before we cut back inland towards the parking lot. But it's a lot chillier this morning, but on the flip side it's a sunny day, so that's nice. The bright sunny morning was a welcome change compared to the gray clouds the day before, and we made good time back to the first beach and campsite. The wind was a lot stronger today, and the waves were noticeably rougher. We left the beach behind and came to a familiar junction. Alright, we came from that way yesterday, but we're gonna go up the cliffs. We climbed higher along the cliffs, and the teal blue water breaking against the rocks captivated us. Like so many artists and poets before us, we were enchanted by the power and beauty of the ocean. Eventually, the trail led away from the water, and we headed back inland towards where we started. Alright, here's the junction that we took yesterday. So yesterday morning we went down this way, and then the parking lot is a little ways down that way. The parking lot's not too far away, so I think that's going to be it for this video. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.